Lucian, a stand-up comedian from London.
Comedian Lucian Jack has just finished visiting all 28 member states of the European Union.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Teena Talks. I do a new episode here every single Tuesday. So if you like all things comedy, all things drag, all things delusion, be sure to go and hit that subscribe button. Because you know what, I'm a very, very small personality on YouTube and I think my content is really, really good and I think more people have to go and see it. So if you like this and you subscribe and you like and you comment, it means so much to me. It just means that I can continue to feel very, very deluded and narcissistic and sycophantic. But I really, really appreciate the support. So thank you so much for coming for another episode. So a few months ago, I did a video when I first moved to Liverpool explaining what's happened to me with my career in order for me to leave everything behind and to start in a new city.
Everything sort of went black in my mind and I realised I can't do shows like this anymore.
And since coming to Liverpool, it's been very, very hard for me to hold down regular gigs. I'm still performing in other places, but performing in Liverpool, it's been really, really hard. You know, I want to have that easy commute. I don't drive. So, you know, me being able to go and walk to work, me being able to go and get into the gay scene here and the comedy scene. And over the last few weeks, I've actually started to perform every single week, which has been really, really good. But I realised that most people don't really know much about me. I had a little social media argument with a well-known performer here yesterday, and I felt it was my opportunity to do an episode of Teena Talks today to talk about my career to date, what I have done, and why I just love performing. I think the thing I often forget as well is like, why am I a performer? A lot of myself has been going through different avenues, trying different things, what is going to stick, and what's going to give me the opportunity to be a performer and to make people happy. Porn wouldn't work out for me, so making people laugh is a big part of it. I guess that's the situation I am in. I'm going to take you back to the start, when I was a child, when I was a little baby back in the 1960s. Only joking, very late 80s. 82, no, very, very late 80s. I grew up in a performance household. Is performance even an adjective? I don't know. My dad is a musician, he is a singer. He was in a band in the 80s and the 90s, and from the late 90s until now, he has been working between Andorra and Spain in bars doing covers. I can't believe it, his son now does covers in drag. It's absolutely hilarious, right? So growing up with my dad as a performer, music and performing was always a big part of me. I started to play piano really, really young. I started to play guitar really young, and I am proud to say I have grade 8 piano, grade 8 musical theory, and grade 8 classical guitar. I just love everything music. I also do all my own musical productions as well. I've also worked as a music producer for lots of well-known drag queens as well and performers. Actually, only drag queens actually, you can't cancel me for that in the UK as well. Music production is a big part of my life. And I have to warn you as well, I have lost my voice, if you can tell by my rather raspy tone today. So keep that in mind, I can sort of sing. But I've always been a singer. Singing, I started singing very, very young as well, and I started to self-release music. If you can't believe it by my beautiful young face, my first ever song came out in 2004. I ended up releasing 2 albums, which I wrote myself. I got a song in the UK Top 10 Unsigned chart, as well as the Russian International Airplay chart. That is a real thing, I swear. Called I'm Not Afraid, I'll put the link above. So I've always loved doing music, but it was never anything really serious. When I was at uni, I did lots of theatre as well. I did lots of TV at uni. Any opportunity to perform was what I wanted to do. When I was out of uni, I was like, well, I need to go and get a real job. So I did a real job for many years. And in 2017, I found the world of stand-up comedy. My friend Alessandro, I'm going to say hello to Alessandro, sent me an Instagram post, and they were looking for people who are just regular people who wanted to get into stand-up comedy. It was done by an art collective called We Are Here. They were looking for people who just wanted to do comedy, but most importantly, you got to get paid and you got to get free promotion. I went for it and I got to do a paid comedy course, which culminated in a 3-day performance in Clapham. For different journalists, for different blogs. And essentially the idea from this art group was they wanted to show that anyone could get into stand-up comedy. And I'll always remember, after the 3rd day, after the final performance, we ran over the road to the 2 brewers in Clapham, and there I met two members of Steps. I met Faye and I met Lisa, putting pictures in there. An interesting fact, the first person I saw at the Two Brewers was a very old uni friend who actually produced me in a theatre, Tia Coffee. She was just starting as Tia Coffee at the time, and she's the one who introduced me to Steps. And that was sort of the moment I went to this gay bar called the Two Brewers that I got to go and meet Steps. I got to go and do my first proper sort of comedy thing. And from that moment, I was like, I want to be a stand-up comedian. 2 years into me doing stand-up comedy, I finally got my residency at that same bar, the Two Brewers, doing a weekly comedy show. And it was always Tia Coffee and Something Wrong doing the quiz in the front room in drag, and me in the back room every single Wednesday doing the comedy show. After we did that show, we continued to work together and we called ourselves The Outsiders, and we got a really, really lovely community in London putting together comedy shows, doing sketches, doing stand-up, just essentially just being absolute idiots in person. It was just such a wonderful time, and I really caught that bug of just having a group of people, and we were The Outsiders. And the biggest thing we ever started as The Outsiders was a show called Brexitvision, which was also at the Two Brewers in Clapham. And it was a show which I completely spearheaded because at the end of the day, I am a very ambitious person. It might not be obvious at times. I think you know I am. It's probably why I'm a bit in a rut at the moment, having moved to Liverpool, but that's a story for later. And I had the idea that why can't we do a stand-up comedy which is based on the Eurovision Song Contest? And with The Outsiders, we had many people from different countries. Again, The Outsiders, different cultural backgrounds. Remember, I'm British Polish, I'm not British Spanish, as people often think. I hosted the show. We did 2 editions of Brexitvision, and we had members of The Outsiders as well as other people doing comedy. And we did it at the Two Brewers, as I mentioned, and we had so much fun doing it. And then everything went bad in 2020. At this point, I had stopped doing my boy job. I was doing comedy full-time, and we were left with the coronavirus. And that's sort of when stand-up comedy ended for me in a certain way. I kept on doing the show for the Two Brewers, the big gay comedy show, online for charity. But I just couldn't get into the whole social media side. And just a little takeaway as well. It's ironic now that I'm now in Liverpool studying acting after having done comedy and having done drag. Usually it's the other way round, right? I'm also doing the social media, other way round. I'm really doing things in a weird, different, card shuffle way. I had such an issue getting back into comedy. I didn't have the social media following. I wasn't getting the same opportunities. The Two Brewers didn't want to have me back anymore. It was tough. So I was sort of in that wilderness for around a year after Corona, like I don't know what to go and do. One thing I did manage to go and do during coronavirus is, because I hosted a lot of comedy shows anyway, I performed a lot, but I hosted. Hosting was always my thing. I knew a lot of gay comedians, and I still do. I'm going to come back to Queerovision, which is my biggest pool of gay comedians. I got the opportunity to do a few sitcoms.
Is...
Lisa!
Yeah?
Yeah, we've had to pull the gig, no audience. Sorry.
But I hate to say the least professional one was one called Comedy Street, and I played a character called Mitchell Thrip. We got to, in person, which was very exciting in 2021, we got to go and do a live launch to show the first episode of the show. And the character Mitchell, we decided he should go and be a drag queen. So, I decided to turn up, obviously as Mitchell, we were turning up as our characters, and it was my first ever time doing a drag thing. And I'm now going to put the video in here. This is me as Mitchell Thrip doing drag at that launch.
You dying, I'll be fine.
Stop this at once. Get off the stage, you bitch.
Wowee, wasn't that great? I've not seen this in years, but I found the video. I just really enjoyed being a different person. And this is where, not just how drag entered my life, you know, as I said, I worked at the Two Brewers, I knew people like Tia Coffee and Something Wrong. Drag had been around for a long time. It was my opportunity to do something different, but most importantly, play a character who wasn't myself. A few months before, I had written my own sitcom, which I submitted to the BBC and had no success with, and it was called She Is Very Famous. My Instagram is called She Is Very Famous. We're now hinting into something about my life, and it was about a D-list actress slash singer slash reality star who still thought she was the most famous woman in England. And I had so much fun writing her comedy. And it gave me the idea, why can't I perform as this character, Teena? And that's pretty much how Teena was born in 2021. It took a while for Teena to really start coming through. My official debut as Teena was towards 2022. But Teena was sort of there, and I was doing lots of practicing of my makeup at home. I'm not going to put pictures of that. And that's how Teena was born. At that time, I was hosting a lot of comedy shows, but I was not able to do it really full time. So I took up a part-time job as an English teacher online, which I'm still doing now. And I was performing nearly every single other night of the week, hosting comedy shows or performing stand-up. And one thing I really wanted to do again was Brexitvision. Now, with Brexitvision, we did 2 series at the 2 Brewers. We did a version online called Stay at Home-a-Vision and Put It On-a-Vision online. I think I already said online. I wanted to bring it back. As a comedian, I was hosting these monthly comedy shows at the Glory, the iconic Glory in East London called Queer Comedy. And I decided in 2022, I wanted to bring back this idea of a Eurovision-inspired comedy competition. And this is when it turned into Queerovision. We did it in the first year. It was so much fun. And again, performing a lot of queer comedy in London, I knew lots of people. I could get contestants pretty easily along. And towards the end of that series, I decided I wanted to go and take the plunge. And I took the plunge to go and perform as Teena for the first time, hosting this competition, Queerovision, and I never looked back. We are currently in the 4th year of Queerovision, and we are doing the next one on the 6th of October at the Divine. We moved to the Divine. And if you're in London on the 6th of October, I'll put a link above to buy tickets to Queerovision. It's been so much fun, and it's what's always bringing me back to London. Queerovision is a thing I am most proud of. The idea we have given the platform to so many fantastic performers, so many fantastic comedians, and just seeing lots of our, I don't call them graduates, but previous contestants. When you take part in a competition, you're part of the Queerovision family. So many people have just gone on to achieve such fantastic things. And it's so wonderful for me as a queer performer, as a queer comedian, to see all these people going through the ranks and pretty much starting their careers with us. And make Queerovision continue going on. It's rather important, I think, to highlight as well, that there's a huge difference between doing drag and doing comedy. Now, my background is as a stand-up comedian and a singer. So for me, being able to go and mix those two and do drag on the cabaret circuit was quite a good opportunity. And because I knew lots of the gay bars, because I'd done comedy there, me getting into performing as Teena was really, really easy. And pretty much very, very quickly, I was performing in all the main gay bars in London and gay clubs in London. And I kept on doing that for a while, but comedy was always a thing I was doing most of the time. I was still doing the cabaret, I was still doing the singing, but I started to perform more and more as Teena. Because when you go and do comedy, you get paid a lot more if you go and do it in drag. And if you just do drag and you're the only performer, you get paid even more. So although I was doing lots of comedy shows, I was really concentrating on drag. That's sort of pretty much where I stopped performing as a stand-up, and I ended up just hosting comedy nights in drag and not doing it as a boy. And the truth is, I've not performed as a boy now for around 3.5 years. And it's quite weird for me to go admit that. But I sort of like that because, again, that's why I started to do Teena, because I didn't have to affect my heart. I'm a really, really sensitive person. I'm immensely sensitive. And the thing, if you know about Teena the character, and I hope you already subscribe and you've already seen my videos as Teena, Teena, she has a heart, but nothing can get her down. And as me, as a boy, everything gets me down. I'm immensely emotional. So for me, whenever I lost a comedy opportunity, I would take it so personally. And this is what happened with all the social media people coming along and taking my jobs. I took it so personally. But if it happened to Teena, she would just be like, yeah, don't care, whatever. All right, where's the next drink? Let's get pissed. You know, it's a very much a different personality. And I ended up, yes, performing a lot more as Teena, performing a lot more in character. I did it for a few years in London, and if you want to know why I left London, I'll leave a link above, and that's a video called Teena Talks the Truth. Now, speaking about Teena Talks, that was 6 months ago. What have I been up to? Well, first of all, you better be knowing what I've been up to because you're obviously subscribing to Teena Talks on YouTube. A new video every single Tuesday. And I mentioned I'm performing so much more here now, and I'm still performing around. You know, I've got to go and take my shows to the Netherlands, to Spain, to Canada, to Edinburgh Fringe a few times. I love getting out there, but performing more in Liverpool has become so important to me. My acting school is still going very, very well. I'm feeling so much happier. And I just want to go and show people really what I've done before, because people have been talking about me in Liverpool, and it's I don't want to do a screenshot about it, but again, it's hitting Lucian and we need to avoid that. And I just wanted to talk about me today, what I've done in my career and where I'm going to be going. Teena's sitcom is still the idea. That's still what I want to do. It is going to happen one day. I'm going to get my drama training, I'm going to get my spotlight, and then you are going to see the Teena sitcom. But I love everyone getting into the character more and more. I feel like Scousers really get the character. Queerovision coming up on the 6th of October, and we have a few more auditions before the end of the year to finish series 4. I'm very, very good, very, very happy now, and I love everyone, and thank you for the support. You know, like in RuPaul's Drag Race, you get the little picture of a child, and like you say to your child self, what would you say? Like, I can understand this now, because I think about, you know, the idea of when I was a child and I just wanted to be a performer. You know, sort of 3-year-old Lucian on the piano, and way over 30 years later, it's still what I'm doing professionally. I'm getting paid to do it. It's navigating really what works for me. And again, you know, think about what I've told you. I've gone through the singing route, and then the music production route, and then I've gone into the comedian route and the drag route and the acting route. Being in Liverpool has given me the opportunity to try even more things. I'm working as a drag DJ. I'm working as a lip syncer. It's a constant evolution of sort of going through life, trying to work out what works. And the truth is, I'm having more fun than ever, and I just love trying new things. And as long as I keep sort of knocking at different doors and saying yes to as many opportunities that are legal as possible, everything must be good. You're not going to see Lucian, that's my real name, much anymore. I'm going to be more Teena. But it's, again, it's like a little bit nervous in front of the camera. But for now, my name is Lucian, aka Teena. Thank you for listening to me today, and I'll be back next week with some more Teena. Bye everyone, you're right. See, it doesn't work like this, does it? No. Bye.